Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Rakal Kadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who have taught me this truth. And shout out to Yakim that's out there on the four quarters of the earth proclaiming this truth. As the last one got kind of cut off there, Chris Green was kind of going into how World War II, Adolf Hitler, who was really a Rothschild, had risen to power. Well, that's because the Rothschilds wanted him to rise to power, but he was their scapegoat so they could bring in their new world order. That is, by setting up the Israeli state, Levant, ISIL. And so they could only do that by sacrificing one of their own, a Rothschild, who happened to be Adolf Hitler. So he was in the midst of that. Now, he didn't give you that information, but, he's just saying, hey, look, these are all the things that are happening. The economic crashes and, poverty and all that led to World War II and Hitler rising to power. So let's continue now.
Testified in history, the victor always writes the history books. You do need to keep in mind what we experienced most recently with the last world war and global conflagration, as was World War II. All of this is repeating again. And global leadership, people like Vladimir Putin, highly intelligent, former KGB, former intelligence officers, and those other power brokers and players around the world, people like Eric Schmidt, who I met with not too long ago, not because I'm friends with him, but we do happen to have a lot of inside sources and, of course, know what's going on in the technological world, know what's going on in the deep state intelligence narrative, know what's going on in Washington, D.C. After all, we are partly responsible for helping to elect you tuning in, Donald J. Trump, as we were moving tens of millions of eyeballs every single month during the election, which brought in our commander-in-chief,
liar and thief, another Rothschild.
Out. So all of this is a warm-up for the inevitability of what I believe to be, and it will highlight economics here specifically in a moment, what I think is happening is we are getting, this is what Warren Buffett and these people are telling us, a white swan event. Now, many of you have probably heard of a black swan, right? This is what happened in 2008-09. Everybody's partying. It's in roaring 20s. Everyone's got the champagne bottles popped. And then at a moment's notice, Lehman Brothers and Bear Stearns collapse, followed by the total collapse of the global financial system, the death and merger of giant corporations and corporate financial.
Yep, Sears, Kmart.
In the heart of the crisis.
Toys R Us going out of business.
Swallowed up like an acorn, like a giant fish coming along by Bank of America and these other financial institutions. George W. Bush warning the domestic population that potentially martial law would come to the streets of America. We have seen this, and these test runs manifest themselves in places like Boston. Post the
Boston bombing, I was just about to say that.
Reported on this years ago, where they shut down an entire American city and then opened out on a shootout in a small part of Boston on an unarmed man hanging in a boat, one of the Sarnoff brothers, which really was just a test run for martial law to see what people would do. Now, there's another story I didn't highlight that happened a couple of days ago where Visa, which is responsible for about 80% of all payments in Europe, crashed. Their servers died, and there was complete chaos for most of the day. This wasn't even a couple of hours. Most of the day where people could not commit transactions. I believe that this was some kind of psychological intelligence warfare campaign of which they were testing the general population on how they would respond to a total shutdown of their currency.
And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive the mark. This is what it's leading to. Anyhow, I'm going to forward a little here.
And, if the grid goes back on ever, post in the middle of the night, in a couple of years, that's why everything's becoming more expensive. The debt have to reset the global here in the United States, or I trust many of the leaders in Washington, D.C. today. At least we're getting another angle of which we can self-critique and have some critical thought of. So Vladimir Putin warns World War III will be the end of civilization as we know it, which comes as a shock to a lot of people, spoken out on fears of world war, as he warned the clash would be the end of civilization. And then he emphasizes this idea of, assured mutual self-destruction, which has prevented nations around the world from actually attempting to blow each other up. Here's the problem. Those attending Bilderberg today, many who we've interviewed in the past, by the way, and in these secretive meetings have to reset everything that I just discussed, have to reset the debt, have to reset the global population through a depopulation effort. Okay, it's why most Americans are medicated. It's why many of the Bilderberger attendees are from mass pharma companies.
You Edomites are playing right into that, man. You can't do anything. But either way, Vladimir Putin said that World War III will be the end of civilization. It'll be the end of the Edomites, end of Esau. Kind of reminds me of a song by David Peel here.
The evil governments in power just don't give a damn. Doomsday atomic bombs and missiles are for peace. World War III will destroy humanity. War is peace and peace is war. For the Axis and the Allied forces, with nuclear missiles and nuclear bombs, World War III will end all mankind. World War III, World War III, World War III, World War III. The high command gives life to death by the military nuclear warheads. The human race will be no more if we have a third world war. World War III, World War III, World War III, World War III. World War III, World War III, World War III, World War III. God made creation in 6 days. The temple of man blew it all away. The genocide of life is the homicide of death. But the nuclear war survivors envying the dead.
Oh, fucking with the video.
World War III, World War III, World War III. The end of the world has now begun. Planet Earth is non-existent. No more people, no more life.
Okay, Esau doesn't want this video to play, obviously. I'm just going to go into another part, but we teach World War III, and that's part of our salvation is World War III. So anyhow, World War III, man, that's what we teach, that this is going to happen. But Esau's scared, because it will end all humanity in the essence that it'll eliminate all these wicked evildoers, and they can't stand that this is about to happen.
Well, Russia's military is preparing for World War III, so to speak, by creating a giant war cloud. And whether it's World War III or any other cataclysm, a solar event, or something that affects not only the globe, but could be Russia singled out in an attack, well, Russia is trying to prepare for such an event, saying that they're creating a cloud that will allow them to survive in wartime, even if they are totally disconnected from the rest of the world. And in all reality, if you think about this, and you think about all the details of the stories we've talked about throughout the years, the United States moving everything to Cheyenne Mountain, making moves in case an EMP hit to safeguard, they don't talk about some of the certain details of what they would do in an instance, but you can guarantee that they have a backup plan. They have something set up similar to this, to where they will keep functioning behind the scenes if the lights go out. You can guarantee it. So Russia being open and talking open about this just puts the thought in one's mind. And then once you start to expand on this, you can realize that other countries are making these moves. Now look at China. China has the Great Firewall of China, where they try to keep everything locked down and hidden in their own confined space. This is why the majority of the people in vast areas of China do not see our videos. This control mechanism.
Also, China has the mark of the beast mandatory.
In terms of Russia making mention of this, it just shows proof that the militaries and these regimes, they don't want to call them that, they're ready to survive a huge event that, in my opinion, would be geared toward taking out the people anyway.
Esau's planning to hide in the cliff rocks, and we know that we're going to capture him. Going to catch him in his bunkers, everything. Quick, hide us from the face of him.
You can only imagine what else in terms of preparations for a big-time event. No matter how staged aspects of that may be here on this world stage. But I'll leave a link here with more information. And
so Esau's going to hide himself, from the face of him. We know that's what the Bible tells us, and you can see that happening. So anyhow, I hope this has been edifying, and let me get some scriptures. So anyhow, with Esau making the Bible register as a lethal weapon, all that, well, especially when you know that he's coming to his end, and we know what the battle of Yehoshaphat is, that's the battle of Yahweh's judgment, which is right there in Syria and Iraq and Euphrates River. And so we know Esau's coming to his end. So read out of Joel chapter 3. For behold, in those days and in that time when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, which is the northern and southern kingdom, which, again, we're in captivity now, I will also gather the nations and bring them down into the valley of Yehoshaphat and will plead with them there. Doesn't mean that he's going to beg them, meaning that he will fight them, There for my people and for my heritage, Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations, imparted my land. In other words, Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai, is going to destroy them. They have cast lots for my people and have given a boy for a harlot. That happened in the slave trade. And sold the girl for wine that they may drink. Yea, I will also have done what you have done with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coasts of Palestine. Will you render me a recompense? And if you recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head? He's getting ready to destroy this place because you have taken my silver and gold and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. And so they have lived deliciously. Now they're coming to their end. Shalom.